Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be doing a couple of things. So as you can see, we're working on the Corvette, and this is going to be another part of the Corvette restoration series. So the main things that we're going to be doing today is installing new brake rotors and pads on the front of the Corvette, and also throwing the cylinder heads on the motor, because the motor, at least the bottom end, is all ready to go. Basically just have to throw the cylinder heads on, throw the intake manifold and stuff on, and figure out the rest of those small details, but the major hurdles are over. So it's getting closer to getting the motor back in the car, getting the car going and running, and I'm super excited about that. This isn't really going to be a tutorial kind of video. This is just going to be kind of I'm going to show you what I'm doing to the car kind of thing. Follow along. If there are interesting things about this process that I'm doing with either putting the brakes on or throwing the cylinder heads on, I will stop and kind of come in, let you guys know what I'm doing, tell you, little tips and tricks, things like that. But like I said, for the most part, this is not a tutorial. This is just, I'm showing you what I'm doing on the car. Now, I'm gonna show you what I got. I got Power Stop Evolution Sport pads for the car. These brake pads seem to be pretty good. They have pretty great reviews online, so I'm gonna go ahead and try them out. And I also got the rotors to go along with it. So as you can see, got drilled and slotted rotors to go on the car, because you gotta have drilled and slotted rotors on your fancy 80s sports car, right? Right. So let's go ahead, get started here, and let's get these brakes done. Alright, so I just went on ahead and compressed the pistons on the caliper here. Not only, I don't know if it's just because this car has been sitting up so long and the brakes haven't really moved, but it literally took putting a cheater bar on a C-clamp to move this piston. I do have a set of calipers from a 96 Corvette that at some point I'll probably throw in here, see about something like that. But that's later down the line. So just to recap, got the caliper bracket on, got the rotor on, as you see. Now all that's left is just to throw the pads on. All right, now that you can see, obviously, I just set one of these heavy boat anchor of a set of heads on here. So these are the original L98 heads that would have came on Camaros, Corvettes, yada, yada, yada. I got these heads because I originally, with the plan with the Corvette, I wanted to go back to running the tune port injection system. I've kind of since decided that I may not want to do that. I do have a tune port, so I might sell it. I might throw it on here. I don't know. But I got these heads because I wanted to have the car back to originality, to have it stock. And these heads also do have upgraded springs in them, and they also have slightly bigger valves in it. From when I took it to the machine shop, they kind of did me a solid and did that for me. So yeah, that's kind of the story with these heavy boat anchors. Even though as much as I spent getting these machined and kind of cleaned up, because these things had sat outside for the longest time, because I originally, I want to say, started this project back in like 2020 during the pandemic, and planned on getting the Corvette back up and going in, but you know, life happened, that didn't really work out. So they ended up waiting, I had to get them cleaned up. So that leads us to where we are now with these heavy heads. But with what I spent to get these heads, and also got the crank turned and polished and all of that, I could have just bought me a nice set of aluminum cylinder heads and saved a lot of weight and all of that. But this is OEM plus. So that's what we're gonna do. So right now I'm gonna show you guys how to throw the bolts on these, and I kind of made a screw up slash goof. I bought a set of new head bolts, and I thought that the set of head bolts that I was getting, that you can see here, I thought that was a set of head bolts for both sides, but it's only one. So I'm gonna throw this head on, and then you guys are gonna see the magic, through the magic of editing, me magically popping the other cylinder head on here once I can go find some bolts. So let's go ahead and get this one knocked out real quick. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started here with putting this on. You can't really see me, but you can see my hands. Hey, how you doing? All right, so as you can see, you have a set of bolts that are like medium size, you have some longer bolts, and then you have shorter bolts. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys and act like I knew where these bolts went, so I looked it up on good old Google real quick. The medium bolts, they go along this inner like section, like here and down here. The longer bolts kind of go in between them, and then all the shorter bolts go on the outside along where you would basically mount up your headers or your exhaust manifolds and all of that. These bolts that I got, at least, I think there are like 2 different sizes that you can get for these. The size that I got, the head is 1/2 inch. So let's go ahead and get started with that. And also, I just want to preface that there is a sequence and order that you need to put these bolts on, and like actually torque them down. I'm gonna just get them all in there and get them all snugged up, and I'm not gonna torque them down yet. When I get ready to torque them down, I'll do that, and I'll let you guys know. When I do get ready to torque them down, as you can see here, I got this off of Edelbrock's website, so I'll throw a link to this down in the description below, but it has the order that you're supposed to torque all of the bolts, and it also has the steps that you're supposed to do it, because you're eventually supposed to end up at 65 foot-pounds, but you go in steps of 40, 55, and then 65. So when I get to that point, I'll throw a picture of this up on the screen, but I'll also have like this whole document linked. This is like for one of the installation procedures for like one of their like cylinder heads that they sell, but it, I would imagine, applies to this as well. Okay, so we're actually gonna have a switch up of tools here. I was gonna use my Milwaukee stubby impact, but I'm thinking I'm actually gonna use the electric ratchet. It doesn't have as much power, and I believe it only goes up to 35. It only goes up to 35 foot-pounds of torque anyway, because we don't want to mess up this torquing procedure or you'll have all types of issues. So what we're gonna do is just go ahead and get this started. So your 2 medium-sized bolts, and these are the Felpro kit. I'll throw up the number that these are on the screen or in the description below or something like that. But they already come with like the thread locker / sealant on the bolt. And like I said before, your 2 middle ones goes here, all the way like kind of out the ends. That's where your 2 middle bolts are gonna go. So all right, so just go ahead and run those down so that your boat anchor is nice and secured to the motor, because you don't want this falling off on your foot, because this thing is heavy. And as you see, get the nice upgraded engine stand from Harbor Freight. This one is like the cheapest one they had. I believe they have a new one out now, but this thing's just a wobbly little, it's like a boat. It's like the whole thing's like a boat. It just rocks and wobbles around. So now I'm gonna throw in all of the bolts along here. Those are gonna be your short bolts. So just drop one in each hole. All right. So now, like we've been doing, run these down with your tool of choice. Something that also helps is make sure you charge your batteries before you start doing projects. Now, what we're gonna do is, you guys are gonna jump to the future because I need to find another set of bolts for the other side of this head because I made a goof. Don't make a goof like me. Make sure your kit of bolts comes with bolts for both sides of the motor. So you guys are gonna jump ahead. And when we come back, I'll show you torquing all of this stuff down properly. All right, and through the magic of editing and time travel and all of that, we got more bolts. So, one thing I forgot to mention that you should do before putting cylinder heads on your motor, if you're doing this at home, you want to clean up the mating surface of the block. Obviously try to get like any old gasket material and stuff off, and before you get ready to actually put the head gasket on, what you want to do is get some brake clean. I like this one here, green one, this one. I like this one here. Spray this on a rag, wipe it down. Make sure you don't get any like lint or anything like that, like in the cylinders and all that. Just kind of make sure of that. And then from there, you're ready to go ahead and get your cylinder head on.